It's every parent's worst fear that something might be wrong with one of their children. Well, my guest today, Tedi Wixom, used this exact experience to help transform her life and the lives of others. Tedi, thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. Hi, Kristen.
So you have many children, and one of them had a heart defect. Tell me a little bit about what happened.
Yes, he's number 5 out of 9. And so when he came along, we were concerned because he was not acting well when he was born. And so we wondered if he had the same problem as a son that was born 5 years before who died. And it was a lot of concern. So we wanted to have a normal child, but he was born different, come to find out. At 5 weeks old, we rushed him to the hospital because he had stopped breathing. And it was traumatic. But we didn't find out until he was 8 months old that he actually, he went into cardiac arrest at home. I had to rush him to the hospital. We saved his life. They flew him across town to the children's hospital. And then we didn't know transplantation was available, but we wanted our son to live. You know, we didn't want to have to deal with that other problem, and it was very heart-wrenching.
How traumatic for you as a family to find out that your 9-month-old needs a new heart?
Exactly, exactly. So what we did is we got a chance to fly down to California. They had a heart for him at Loma Linda, and it was amazing to get down there and go through this transformation, because after we saw him, after he had the heart transplant, he was pink and glowing, unlike what he had been before. So it really did change our family's life.
You talk about in your book that a lot of miracles happen around this time. I mean, a heart transplant successful is a miracle, but what other miracles did you experience?
Well, just in our family, I think it helped us realize that life is precious and that we need to get together more often, even as an extended family. We sort of had a standing joke. If we would get together more often as cousins, then we wouldn't have to end up at the hospital having a party. So, but it did change our lives. It made life more precious. And every day it's like, oh, wow, I can smell the flowers. Let's smell those flowers. Let's smell the petunias. I love petunias. And let's weed out some of the weeds and get to the flowers, because a lot of times we have a lot of weeds and they get in our way. And I like to smell the flowers. And that's what Jason's life helped us learn. We need to smell the flowers more often.
How is Jason doing today?
He's doing exceptionally well. He is grown up now. And he's kind of scrawny like a snake. He's about 6 foot tall, and he only weighs 100 pounds. But he's amazing, even through all the things he's gone through. When he turned 18, he died, and we had to revive him. We were fortunately at the hospital across town, and that was another transformational time. And Jason's always been an inspiration. He's my go-to man. He's my right arm. I mean, he hauls the other kids around for, karate. We don't do soccer right now, but lessons. I have a daughter that's trumpet and trombone. I have a son that plays the saxophone. So, I mean, there's just lots of things that he helps us out with, and he's become an actor himself.
So in your book, A Whisper of Springtime, Jason's Heart Transplant Miracle, what is the message that you want to share with other parents who may have a child who's critically ill?
Well, I think that love transforms everything. We need to have more love for people. We need to have more compassion. I learned to be more patient as a parent, because we would sit at the hospital waiting and waiting. It was usually 3 to 5 hours. And we've learned that all of us can be more helpful. Life's a celebration. We need to send out good vibrations. And I guess that's what I tell everybody. Let's live life now while we have it, because today's the only life we have.
So there's those moments in the hospital where it is the dark night of the soul.
Absolutely.
Like, is my child going to live? Obviously, a heart transplant is major surgery. What about that moment when you need that comfort? Is there anything that you can offer people in that place?
Well, I think with us, of course, we always have our community of caring friends, family. Of course, we've turned to God and our faith and hope. It was so traumatic for us at the time, but the story is inspirational for other parents who may have a sick or ill child, because if I can get through it, anybody can get through their problem. And I know there's a lot of parents that have called me or talked to me and say, you know what, I have this problem with my son or daughter. What can I do? And I just say, number one, treat them as if they're the most precious diamond on earth, because they are jewels and they are our diamonds. And don't give up hope. Don't ever give up hope. Just love them. Hug them. That's one thing we learned. We had this set of hugging. We had monkey hugs, ooh, 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 and we had bear hugs, and that kind of became a family favorite.
So even in these moments where it's really stressful, to keep it light, to share love, to be a source of support, it's the simple things.
Exactly. I mean, eat some of your favorite food once in a while, and go out once in a while. My children are always very well behaved when we go out to eat at restaurants. And people are always asking, wow, your children are well behaved. It's like, well, I demand it of them. I expect it. And sometimes we don't have very high expectations for our children, but they don't have to be adults, but they can be well behaved.
So this experience inspired you to write 2 books. The second book is Danny is Different. What is different about this book?
Well, you know what? Everybody needs a superhero. And I think with thinking of my son Jason, he is sort of a little scrawny snake because he's tall and he's thin, but he has a lot to offer. A lot of people would overlook who he is. And so Danny is different is basically Jason is different as well. It's the same person. And when I did Danny is Different, I wanted to have like not a person of any other color, but an animal. So we've picked out a little green snake. It kind of reminds me of Jason. And Danny is different because he's himself. And a lot of times we overlook the fact that kids that may appear different or look different, they don't need to be made fun of. And so in this book, we have a snake and he is born with legs. Oh no. So his parents think that he's physically challenged, of course. And Jason has been physically challenged. Even though he has a heart transplant, he has Barth syndrome. And so it affected all of his muscles. And so he can't do all the same things that most kids, like he wanted to be a baseball pitcher when he was little, because he could sit in his bed and he could pitch that baseball right out of the bed to his dad. And he doesn't really have the physical capabilities of doing that. That's why he became an actor. So there's always good things.
So in the book, you wrote this book to teach people to be accepting of children who are different, because of your 9 children, a couple of them were bullied in school. As a parent with children who are different, what do you recommend to other parents who have children who are facing some of the same struggles?
Well, that's a good question. Every situation seems to be different, but I think the most important thing is to, when the children come home and say, I've been bullied, or my daughter came home one day and said that this kid waits after school to beat her up. I'm like, well, have you told the teacher? And, we can find out and tell the teachers. I think that's a good thing. But we can also talk to our children and find out about these things and ask them what's going on. Are they causing the problem? Because sometimes my children are causing the problem. But different children that look different, maybe with a disability or impairment, like Danny in the book, we need to be more compassionate. Maybe we could ask them to, when we're sitting down to lunch, hey, do you want to come over and be with us at lunch, instead of just sitting there by yourself? I've always been one to, encourage people and put my arm around them. Hey, what's going on? And children are no different. They want love. I don't care who you are. You're going to have a better day if you are actually kind to people and say good word. Hey, have a great day. You know, life's a celebration. Let's go do something, instead of you're ugly. You know, people get tired of that, or you're weird. So,
you know, the ripple effect is about small steps that we can make to make an impact, to spread change. What about parents who have children who are in school? What can they say to their children about being more compassionate?
well, compassion, I think, is a good thing, and some people just don't have a compassion bone in their body. So I think we need to educate our whole population of people to just be kinder, be more loving. Let's give some hugs. Let's be more accepting, and you know, kindness goes a long way.
Teddy, can you recommend something that parents can do with their children to help teach the children more compassion?
Absolutely. You know, at home we play this game where you say, okay, if Bobby comes to school and he looks like he hasn't got his clothes on right, they're all wrinkled, what do you do? So the kids like go, oh, that's a bad thing. And I say, no, maybe you should go up and maybe comb down his hair, say, hey, Bobby, you know, are you okay? Did you get enough sleep last night? Just ask kids what's going on. So then if somebody looks different, like they come to school, but they're always in a wheelchair, a lot of people make fun of those. We had a child at our neighborhood that was always made fun of. Why not say, hey, this is a cool mode of transportation? But the game that we can play with our children is ask them, what do they think that they could do to, and kids come up with amazing answers. I mean, you just never know what they might say, but it's going to be applicable to them because we can teach them this at home. So it's a game. And I like the idea that, you know, let's say Jason comes to school and he has these weird bushy eyebrows because he had a heart transplant. So the kids are like going, why don't we ask our children, what would you do if you had this child and he has bushy eyebrows and that's not really very good? They go, well, maybe we could not say anything about it. Maybe we could make our eyebrows bushy and all wear those marks looking things so we could all look alike. So we just need to include people and not be so stressed and not be so rude. And, you know, wouldn't that be nice to have values of love, compassion, not being rude once in a while to kids? Because kids they can be very compassionate as well.
Yeah, you know, I'm the mother of 4 children as well. And it's interesting because we also experienced in our home bullying as well. You know, so it's not just the kids that are different. You can be too smart or too attractive or, you know, too tall. It's really amazing to me that anything that is perceived as different, but what is the normal? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Wow, you know, we found the statistic of children who are actually disabled or different in that sort of is about 13%, and those are ones that are disabled. But normal kids, they can be just as disabled. So I would say the rest of the percentage are the ones that are disabled, and that we need to just be kind. Let's have these values of gentleness, and children can be adaptive, and bullying is a big word out there today, and a lot of people have got really tired of hearing that word. But bullies can come from the community. They can come from, like in Danny is different, the community kind of bullies the parents. And bullying can take forms of teachers bullying children, or, I mean, sometimes we as spouses, we bully each other. I think we all need to just step back and relax and take a deep breath, like Kristen would say. We need to do that once in a while with our children and our peers.
Teddy, thank you so much for being here and sharing with us your wisdom and both of your books.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kristen.